my channel, and this is the weekly wrap-up for October the 1st through the 6th, and in the middle of a long weekend. So you guys had let me know that you guys liked my format from last week, which I'm going to try and keep up, which is to give you all the books that I read the week before, as well as give you what I am currently reading into the next week, so you guys sort of know what you might hear about later on in the next week's wrap-up. Yay. So this weekend right now is the middle of a long weekend, which means I get 3 days off. 3 days of amazing reading, and I had decided to do a buddy read with a few of my fellow booktubers, Lauren from The Novel Lush, and Amanda from Naughty Librarian, and Bree from Bree Hill. So once I get to those books and let you know which ones I'm buddy reading, I'll let you know which people I did the buddy read with. So let's get into what I started last week off with. And that would start off the week with Accidentally on Purpose by L.D. Davis. This is a Black author. I place this in contemporary. I give it 4 to 4.5 stars. I listened to it on audiobook, and let me tell you guys, this book, if you are trash or all for some total drama, love triangle, this would be the book for you. I listened to this on audiobook, and it was on my way to the Indies in Bay, Philly author event or book signing event. Yeah, I was yelling all the way through this book. I wanted to slap our main character, Emmy. She was just like, oh, Emmy girl, Emmy, what are you doing? And Kyle, who is Emmy's boss, but also she got snowed in with him and then hooked up together. But Kyle has a girlfriend that is like almost an arranged marriage. So Emmy is like, I'm tired of being the mistress, so I'm gonna go and get a boyfriend. And in walks Luke, and I'm just like, total drama, but I could not put the book down. Couldn't put it down. I'm not a huge lover of the love triangle trope, but this was total drama, soap opera yumminess, and I just devoured it. I was like, oh, I got to know what's going on, and I can't wait to get to the next 2 books in this series. The next book I read was Not Until You by Corinne Michaels. I place this in contemporary / rom-com, and I give this book 5 stars. I read it as an arc. It just released last week, so go out and get that book because it's amazing. Our main character is Nicole. She is also part of a friend group that, if you've read any of the other recent releases from Corinne Michaels, you would have already been introduced to Nicole. Nicole is that friend that is like, I'm not having no kids, I'm not getting married, and only one of the other 3 friends knows exactly why, but they all sort of understand her. She's like, I'm down for the one-night stand, and yes, in walks Colum. Colum is the guy that inherited a huge corporation from his dad, who ends up dying. He is originally living in London because that's where his mother is from, that's where he's from, and when him and his mom and his sperm donor dad didn't work out, Dad came back to the United States and Colum stayed with Mom in the UK. Well, Dad dies, sperm donor dad dies. Colum comes over to take over the company and get it sort of restructured and everything like that. Well, dear old Dad had a meeting set up with Nicole already because she's an interior designer. And yeah, almost love at first sight, but definitely there were some issues that needed to be tweaked and worked out and stuff like that. Laughed out loud through this entire book. It was amazing. So that's why I gave it that whole / rom-com-ish thing, because near the end, Corinne did the thing that she does so well, which is punch me in the gut and made me cry. So yeah, I'm just going to leave that there and tell you to go read this book, because Corinne Michaels does adult, mature, female, like, amazingly. Mwah. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Next, I read Beautiful Danger by Michele Hauf. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I placed this in urban fantasy. And I also read it for Genre-a-thon, which is, what is this month? This month, I can't remember what, oh, Occult. And also for Romance Roundabout, which is the urban fantasy portion of it. And I give this book 4 to 4.25 stars, and I listen to it on audiobook. This book follows Lark, who is a vampire hunter. And she became a vampire hunter for a reason. And then you have Domingo, who is a Longtooth, who isn't technically a vampire, but he has the fangs. And initially I was going to DNF this book, but then all of a sudden it started to come together. And I was like, oh, I think I need to continue to read this. I think I need to finish this out. It got hot, it got steamy, it got sexy. This is also a Harlequin book. So I was like, oh, I was not expecting the hot and the steamy and the sexy in this paranormal book. It was like, oh yes, I'm down. I'm down for this. I'm glad I continued on with this and finished it. Next, I read Romancing the Duke by Tessa Dare. Read it for Romance Roundabout. I place this in historical romance, and I give it 4.5 stars. I read this in a physical book. Yay! This filled one of my books that I had for my read physical book challenge that I have for myself for the rest of this year. And I love this book. This book was amazing. It was snarky, it was sweet, but at the same time, it had like that girl powerness that needed to be had, that like so many people want to compare like Outlander to. Izzy, our main female character in this book, was like girl power. She was like, I inherited this castle and we gonna work around how you're not gonna evict me because you think you still own it. And even though you have some issues, Mr. Ransom, the Duke that fell off the side of the earth and nobody's heard from you, this is my castle. So yes, yes, and yes. And it gave me a little taste of Tessa Dare, and I really, really enjoyed her, and I had to get some more. Then I read The First Lights by Christy, Pastore, and I place this in contemporary. I give this book 5 humongous stars. I read it as an arc, and this book follows Wyatt, who is an ex-football player who had a tragic event happen to him 2 days before the Super Bowl. Oh my God. Ripped my heart out. First 15% of this book. Christy, what? And Hannah, you find out, had a tragic event happen to her where she loses some people, and both of them end up into this small town in, I want to say Montana, but I could be wrong about that. But it's a small town. So all of a sudden, you're going through this story, and after your heart's been ripped out, you're like all emotional about their 2 tragedies, and you are like rooting for them. You're like, yes, swoon, 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 swoon. Oh my God, Wyatt is so amazing. He's also a teacher, by the way, and a football coach in the small town. And you're like, yes, 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 they're getting together, but they got to do it on the DL because it's a small town, and Hannah's son is on the football team, and small town drama enters. And you just want to smack some characters, and you want to be like, what are you doing? And then you get this like super happy ending. I was so fulfilled and just felt really good about it, and just, yes. If you like football stars, if you like second chance romance, even if it's not with the person that you initially had the romance with, check this book out. Both are, well, we have a single mom and an ex-football player. That's all I'm going to say. Because you sort of need to learn that for yourself. The extra journeys that are taken as well. The next book I read was Dare Me by Megan Abbott. And I place this in mystery thriller. I give this book 4.5 stars. I read this one as a physical book as well. Yay. I initially got this because one of the taglines, or one of the author, Gillian Flynn, had said that it's Lord of the Flies set in a cheerleading squad. I'm sorry, but Gillian, I think you got it wrong. I think it is more Mean Girls meets Bring It On with a super, super dark twist. Oh my goodness. So you open this book and the prologue lets you in that you have two characters. One is named Addie, and all of a sudden Addie is getting called to this unknown location, and she's told to look at something, and then it's like, is it as bad as I think it is? Then you start hearing Addie's journey. Addie is this cheerleader who is second in command to Beth. Beth is the queen bee of this cheerleading squad, right? Yes, yes. She is just mean girls gone crazy. So if you know anything about cheerleading, this book is like chock filled with cheerleading sort of terminology. So that was a little off-putting for me in the beginning. And I actually almost DNF'd this book, and then some of the twists started to happen, and I was like, what? And I devoured it. Just ate it up. Ate it up, ate it up, ate it up. And by the end, I was like, oh, damn. Oh, did not see some of the things that were going. Maybe I'm an idiot and, you know, I should know some twists better than that. But there are a lot of twists in this book, because when I thought it was one person, it actually wasn't that person. And then I thought it was somebody else, and then it wasn't. And I was all over the place with this, but I was so intrigued by it. I devoured this book. Devoured it. The next book I read was Serenity Harbor by RaeAnne Thayne, and I read this for my Read Bliss project that you guys will probably see in a couple months. I place this in contemporary. I give it 4 to 4.5 stars. It's sort of an arc, although it's been already released. Like I said, it's for my Read Bliss project, so I place it in the arc category. And this book follows Katrina and Bowie. Katrina, you find out, is a teacher who lived in Harbor Cove. I believe that's the series. And she decided to go to Columbia, and she followed someone and then was left there. Found a young girl that she wanted, an orphan, that she wanted to adopt, and started that process. Bowie is a tech magnate. He like invents things with some folks from this series in the tech company. It's really hard to explain. But the two of them, he ends up having to adopt his younger brother that he didn't know about, and the younger brother is on the spectrum. He is a young boy that has autism or autistic tendencies. Something of that nature. So that was where it sort of lost me. I was like kind of thrown into it that Katrina automatically knew that he had special needs, the brother, the young brother, because of one meeting that they had in a supermarket right at the beginning of the story. And there are a lot of other characters that show up in this book that you've met, I guess, before, and that you're going to meet later on. I'm not exactly sure. But as the story progressed, I really started to enjoy it, and it really started to hone in on Bowie and Katrina and their journey, on how they were going to make sort of their lives work and their journeys work and everything like that. So I really sort of enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get to more books in this series. The final book that I read last week was a buddy read with Lauren from the novel Lush and Amanda the Naughty Librarian, and that was The Governess Game by Tessa. Historical romance. I gave it 4.5 stars. I saw a couple flaws, but not so many that I'm like, I can't read anymore, because I'm gonna read some more. And this buddy read was absolutely amazing. I also read this as a physical book, so that was amazing. This book follows Alexandria and Chase. Chase is this sort of a wayward heir that is about to have a dukedom, but doesn't necessarily have a dukedom. He has 2 wards, 2 young girls that are absolutely hilarious throughout this book. And they have tortured every other governess that they have come in contact with, because they've been passed around so much. So Alexandria is a timekeeper, and initially she went to Chase's estate to try and drum up new business. But then he thinks that she's there for a governess position. Well, things aren't always as they seem, and Alexandria ends up needing to do the governess job, so that's what she ends up doing, and they have this back and forth sassiness. I loved that Alexandria was super independent and super knew what she wanted to do, and even though it was set in like the 1700s or whatever, she was like, I'm independent, that's how I want to be, and bam, that's how it's gonna be. So that was like absolutely amazing. Love that book. Can't wait to get into more of Tessa Deer, and I'm sure you guys are going to be hearing about that here come the near future. So for the long weekend, I set my Goodreads current reads to all the books that I'm going to try and get to during this weekend, and yeah, it was a big challenge. So it was 10 books, and 2 of those I already talked about, which was Serenity Harbor and The Governess Game, by Tessa Deer. So that's 2 books out of 10 that I've already completed, and I am working on a couple of other ones. So these are the books that I'm working on. Is A Gravel Road by Stephie Walls. Yes, I was still working on this last week as well in that wrap up, but this week I'm still working on it. I am about 60% through, and the only reason I'm like not super angry is because I know Stephie Walls. I know her writing. I know that even though I am really mad at her for one of the characters, I'm like still pushing through because I know I'm gonna get my relief. This follows Miranda and Austin. Austin was Miranda's teenage and lifelong love. Well, something happens and Miranda ends up popping smoke, leaving their small town, like super small town, by the way, farmers and ranchers and things like that. Austin ends up helping her father out on the ranch, and then an incident happens where Miranda has to come home 6 years later, and I still haven't found out what is going on. I'm like 60% into it, and I still haven't found out what the reason is that Miranda left, and I'm kind of mad about that, but that's okay, because I'm sure it's coming, and then it's going to tear out my heart. It already tore out my heart that she left in the first place, and then this new boyfriend that she has is a douche. Oh my god, he's such a douche. I don't like him at all whatsoever, but Austin is amazing. I love me some Austin. Oh, and I think that he has every right to be as mad as he is. So, we're just going to leave that there. I am doing another buddy read with Bree Hill, Bree from Bree Hill, and that is The Coppersmith Farmhouse by Devney Perry, and I haven't even started this book, but I'm going to start this book here shortly. I had to adult and go grocery shopping and stuff like that, so yeah, but I'm about to start, and once I get started, it's going to be on like Donkey Kong. I am also going to be reading Asher's Dilemma by Coleen Kwan, and that is going to fulfill one of the slots for my romance roundabout for steampunk. I'm also going to, or I am currently reading Under Her Brass Corset by Brenda Williamson, and that is going to be for steampunk as well, under the romance roundabout, and I'm about 26%, I think it said, into that one, and I have paranormal aspects to that. I have steampunk Victorian sort of stuff going on there, and I have like this pirate thing going, and I'm like down for that. I'm like down for it. I am also going to start The Kiss Collector by Wendy Higgins, which is a physical book, part of my physical book challenge. And The Apple Turnover Murder by Joanne Fluke for my physical book challenge. So the physical book challenge is the ones that I've named for that probably won't get read, or you'll be hearing about those through the next couple of weeks, because physical books take me like forever to read. But yeah, I'm also reading Slappy, Birthday to You by R.L. Stein, and that's a small little project that you guys may hear about later on this month. And back to Asher's Invention by Coleen Kwan. I think I need to read this one before I read the other one, but the other one is the one that I picked to put for the romance roundabout. So those are all the books that I am read for October 1st through the 6th. I am currently reading, and all the little projects that I have going on. If you guys want to do a buddy read with me, let me know. I now have Voxer, and it is like this awesome thing where we can like chat and walkie and, you know, text each other without giving away too much personal information. It's freaking awesome. It's free, so go check that out. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.